Okay, well, now how we start this is we usually get you to take the clapboard, so you stand up.
I saw that.
Go round, say your name.
What do you want me to say?
Anything you want. Catwoman, I don't mind. Anything. I don't know where that come from. I don't know why. Do you have cats?
I do.
Oh, right, there we go.
Okay. So what to do with it?
You say, hi, I'm your name and whatever it is you want to call yourself afterwards.
Business-wise.
And then you clap it, and that's it. And then you come and sit back down. So you do it in front of the camera. The little hole there it is.
Oh,
there we go. And you can bend
go.
down if you want. Some people do, some people don't.
Okay, I'll bend down.
This is your moment.
This is is this the only one I get?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make the most of it. Oh, okay. So Karina from Simply Ceremonies, Catwoman.
Say Catwoman. Welcome to the Cherrywood podcast with me, Simon Burridge.
And me, Rachel Burridge.
Perfect.
Karina, lovely to meet you. We haven't
You too.
actually met, but I'm sure in 20 years.
I'm sure we must have crossed
You're also a
paths.
celebrant, so I'm sure we filmed you at some point,
may
which
well
doesn't
have
sound
done.
quite right, but in the wedding aspect. Before we start, the sign, how long do you think?
Oh, is that what they do? They have to guess how long?
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Okay. Yeah, I did. I watched 2 this morning.
You've done some homework, haven't you? Basically, that's what you've done.
I do
You've
my
panicked,
research.
you've panicked
Yeah,
and done it all.
absolutely.
I better know what I'm letting myself in for. Oh,
I'm going to go 4.5 minutes.
I want to tip you off here,
You
Karina.
did stick it on
I
quite
want
hard.
to tip you
though.
off. Yeah.
Is that really
It's
low?
got some new tape on it.
That's cheating.
We always give someone a tip.
Okay.
If you want to stick to the 4.5, you can.
No, it's pretty crappy. The sign, though, it's not your guess.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll go 11 minutes then.
11 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to go to another extreme.
Imagine if it
I have a
falls
feeling
off
it's
on
not coming
4.
off.
I know.
I have a
know.
feeling it's not coming
So I
off
get
today.
two
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, you can have 4 and you can have 11,
That'll
as
do.
you've never watched the podcast at all, clearly.
That is not true.
Today's sponsors are Dimodici Associates, Chartered Structural and Civil Engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on dimodiciassociates.com. New Digital, helping businesses build their online presence with web design, SEO, Google Ads and social media. Get 10% off when you quote Cherrywood today. Visit their website at nudigitalera.co.uk.
And we're back. There we go. Thank you very much, sponsors.
Well
Right,
remembered.
Karina, tell us about yourself. Anything you want.
Anything I want. Okay, well, I'm probably one of the oldest in the wedding industry.
No.
No,
Not at all.
no, probably not.
That's
But
because of
get in there. Get in there. I've done 35 years in the wedding industry.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't look old
Yeah.
enough, Karina.
Thank you.
For people
Thank
just
you.
listening.
Yeah, well, I'm 60 in January.
My
so,
goodness.
Oh, you definitely don't look 60.
Yeah, you
No,
keep
you don't.
coming with
You
the
don't.
flattery.
No, you don't.
It doesn't happen very often.
We'll get more biscuits.
Yeah, definitely. More Marks and Spencer's biscuits. Or am I allowed to promote Marks and Spencer's?
Other biscuits are available.
Yeah, but they're not as
Very
good.
Oh, dear.
So I started, I came from a banking background, but when I got married in 1989, I had a lovely florist do my flowers, but they weren't the flowers that I wanted.
Right.
So I had pink bridesmaids and she did a yellow bouquet. I gave her
You gave her the information?
I gave her a
she got it wrong?
photograph of what I wanted,
Oh, right.
and it was mostly green and ivory,
Nice.
and I had a yellow rose and carnation bouquet. It was beautiful. It was just exactly what I wanted with pink bridesmaids. But, you know...
I'm glad you got over it, though.
I've only... Oh, but that... Oh, don't get me started.
35 years.
No. But it just... I really liked the flowers and I really liked the bouquet, and I went to evening classes and I learned floristry. And it's nothing like it is now. I mean, I worked with purely silks and dried, so I didn't have to condition flowers or anything like that. But I set up a business while I was working for a bank, and sold at wedding fairs and just to friends, you know. But it was quite a nice little business, and I had it for about 3 or 4 years. And I had a daughter, and wiring flowers and beads when you've got a toddler crawling around just doesn't work. And I was working from home, so I carried on doing it. I didn't do it very much. It was a little hobby sort of business, a bit of a side hustle to my banking. And I was working up in London. And then my daughter, when she was 2, my dad got remarried. And my brother-in-law and sister-in-law got married. So Hannah was bridesmaid or flower girl. She was to two couples, one in the August and one in the September. So I had these two lovely bridesmaids dresses, and eBay had just launched in 1994.
Right.
So I decided I'd sell these bridesmaids dresses online, and I had so many inquiries. Can you get it in this colour? Can you get it in this age? And it was like, well, this one's Debenhams and this one's Phoenix.
Yeah.
I can't, you know. And I spotted a bit of a niche, so I started importing from China via America. That's how it was done then. So I would buy little flower girl dresses and then sell them at wedding fairs. And that's what I did for a few years. And then I moved into, somebody had a shop in a hotel, the Ashford International, I don't know. Well, in the days back in the 90s, it had a big pond and fountain in the centre. And under the stairs, you had lots of little shops, little boutiques.
Right,
and there was a girl that had opened up as she was a wedding planner, and she did all the coordination for the hotel. And she wanted to set up a little bridal shop, like a one-stop shop. So this was back in, I'm trying to think, Hannah would have been 9, so 2000 maybe. And I was going to have my bridesmaids' dresses in there. And then Sarah asked me if I would bring in wedding gowns. I'd never done anything like it in my life, and they were obviously very expensive to buy. But I found a designer, an English designer, and I bought her collection, and I put them in the shop. And the idea was that we paid rent to be there, but then Sarah would do all the, she'd sell the cakes and the stationery for everybody. We all paid different amounts. And after about 6 months, I hadn't sold anything other than the little flower girl dresses. And I was a bit confused because these wedding dresses were just beautiful. So I rang the designer and I said, what am I doing wrong? I know I've never done this before, but I must be missing a trick. And she said, what do you mean? She said, you're selling. So I said, no, I'm not. I haven't sold any dresses. She said, well, in the last month, I've had 9 orders. So I went back to Sarah and I said, can you explain how the designers get in orders? And she was putting the orders through and keeping the money.
No.
No,
Oh my gosh.
Excuse me. And I had a contract to be there for a year, and I pulled out. I said, I can't have this. This is theft. She was a police officer doing this as a side hustle. So it just gets better and better.
Did she explain herself?
No. She was doing it to everyone. So she was taking orders for stationery and then creating the invitations herself. She was taking orders for the favours and then making them herself. So everybody was being fleeced. And anyway, I pulled everything out. I pulled all the dresses out. And I'd got, I know, it's appalling, isn't it? And I'd got veils and tiaras and all the bridesmaid dresses, all in the boot of my car. And I live in Folkestone, and there was this really lovely, this is so bad for me, my chocolate shop. She was so wonderful, and she did the most amazing glacé orange slices dipped in dark chocolate, and that was my go-to. And I went in there, and the boot was full of all these wedding dresses, and she said, what's the matter? I said, I just need chocolate, just give me chocolate. And I bought loads of chocolate, and we got chatting, and she said, well, I'm moving out of this shop. I'm moving into bigger premises. Why don't you rent here? I was like, okay, fine.
Things are just meant to happen.
2 weeks later, I've got an interior designer stripping out the shop from a chocolate shop into a wedding boutique. Well, you say wow. I paid.
Yeah, Rach. Why'd you say wow?
I paid her rent, and she didn't pay it on to the landlord.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you got done again.
I got done again. I know. I'm so stupid, so gullible. I just don't get it. So
that's unbelievable.
I managed to sort that out with the landlord, and they went for her and left me to it. But I moved out of the premises, and there was a sweet shop round the corner, and she'd rented a shop over the road so she could do favours and more wedding sweet treats.
Did you burn her sweet shop down?
No, the ceiling fell down in the shop that I'd taken all the dresses out the day before. So there was a flood upstairs, and the whole ceiling was flooded. So I sort of counted my blessings. I moved into this shop. I went from paying £350 a month rent to £700 a month rent. And then she did a runner and went back to her other shop and left me with a £1,200 a month rent. But I had the most amazing 2-story, double-fronted wedding dress shop, and was there for 10 years. And it was absolutely beautiful. But we had 2 major floods in that time. I had one insurance claim that was over 60 grand because the wedding dresses were just ruined. And the Victorian sewage drains all broke. And
how are you not a dribbling mental wreck?
I have a very good husband and children and lots of friends who really rallied round. So I always say because I do mentoring now as the wedding business mentor, and I can honestly, hand on heart, say to any person I'm talking to, I've been there, I've done that, I've got the t-shirt, I've been robbed, I've been flooded, I've had a shed at the bottom of the garden, I've had the dresses in a bedroom, I've had a shop on the high street for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, I've sold online before online shopping was a thing.
Yeah, you're must be one of the first
It's an age
eBay
thing.
ones.
It's an age thing. And I think that's it, really. And it just means that people can learn from my mistakes.
Yeah,
that's the best
absolutely.
bit.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Oh my
bit of
God.
experience
Blimey.
there.
Talk about the mentoring then. So what brought that
that's-
on and what is it exactly?
Well, basically, I've been mentoring businesses for years. I started when I was in the bank. I was a trainer working for the Halifax, and I used to write training courses and train staff who were cashiers up to the level of branch manager and things like that. So I've always done that, and I've worked. My husband's an accountant, and we've sort of done little workshops and things for his clients with different things. And then when I closed the shop after 10 years, all my staff got fantastic jobs doing all different things, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I woke up one morning and I said, I'm going to be a wedding celebrant. Now, my husband's a typical fantastic accountant. He pulls the reins and he's like, slow down. Slow down. What's the celebrant? I was like, I don't know. It just sounds great. I had
So you didn't know what it was? You chose the title before the actual...
I'd heard of it, but I had no idea what it was. So he said to me, how much is the course? And I was like, £2,000. And he said, can we sort of sit on this for a little while? So I gave him 3 days.
3 days.
And then I booked myself on. I just knew that's what I wanted to do. So having been a wedding celebrant, I celebrated 10 years last week as a celebrant, which is really, really good fun. And the business has grown. I've got a team of celebrants now, which is wonderful. Saves me turning work away. That was the thing I don't like. I don't like having to turn around to somebody and say, I'm really sorry, I'm booked for your day.
Yeah.
Probably like you,
Oh,
I only
exactly
do
the
one
same.
ceremony
Exactly the
a day.
same.
You know, you can't, I don't like to rush off and have to be somewhere. If someone's stuck in traffic, we wait for them to arrive. I can't bear.
Yeah, because I've been in that situation before where the celebrants are like, come on, we've got another one to go to. And we're like, you know,
Oh, probably if the bride,
isn't the bride always late?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, exactly. And it's
there's-
very difficult with a registration office because they do
Yes.
have more than one
Of
wedding
course,
a day.
yeah. No, I'm
And
on about a venue.
Yeah, exactly. And the venues will have time as well because they've got the catering side to
Yeah,
think
of
about.
course,
You know,
yeah,
they don't want the food
yeah.
to be sort of damaged or you know made worse.
I'm talking half hour over.
Oh, I've been hours over. I've had a bride where the makeup artist and hairstylist didn't turn up. So she was 2.5 hours late, but she'd been plied with champagne up until that. So she
Staggered up the aisle.
well, her mother fell out of the car. we were doing a beautiful orchard wedding, so there were sheep at one end and apple trees at the other, and we were there, and the mother was absolutely sloshed. Bless her. And she had this beautiful outfit and grazed knees. It was awful. I felt so bad. But
Yeah, actually, your mum fell on our wedding day.
Yeah, 'cause
not she
wasn't
styled it out so well.
She it was her heels, wasn't it? Because we got married at Penshurst Place, and the floor there.
It was steps. She was going down steps.
Yeah.
and
that's
they're
hard.
really sort of like old
Garden.
castly
It was
sort of
garden steps, yeah.
And she sort of took Tilly, because Tilly, my daughter, was only 18 months, and
Yeah.
she took her down there and she caught her heel.
She took a knee and then she was straight back up. Yeah, she
and
styled it
knees
right.
are the worst.
Yeah.
They really hurt. So so the mother was tipsy, the bride was tipsy, and the guests were in hysterics.
Ashley, you know, surely you've got some stories you can tell us about. Has anything happened? People pulled out last minute.
I've never had that.
When you say anyone object to this wedding?
No, because I'm not allowed to say that because our ceremonies aren't legal.
Oh,
They
right, okay.
only the registration office and the Church of England.
So
are
I
allowed
actually
to
don't
do it.
know what a celebrant is then.
Oh, there you go.
And I've been doing it 20 years.
I'm glad you did your research on me then.
You need to go on this course.
This is my research. When I say what is it you do, I actually clearly don't know.
So a celebrant does a non-legal ceremony. We're not authorised under the English and Welsh law.
Right.
So
do you know what? You're the third celebrant on the show, and no one else still haven't worked that out.
Really? That's interesting. When I do wedding fairs, I spend a lot of time educating because not everybody does. I mean, when I started this 10 years ago, there were probably 4 of us in Kent. There's now over 100. I mean, it's like photography and videography. Everyone wants to do it.
Different styles as well, isn't there?
Absolutely. And everyone wants to be a celebrant because it's such an amazing job. It's wonderful. And I've not had any weddings cancelled.
You could
be a celebrant. Yeah.
Do you know the number of people that come up to me at a wedding and go, "We can do your job and we're going to do it." I say, bring it on.
Absolutely. Me then.
I don't even remember my kids' names, let alone a couple of strangers that are getting married.
So is it more sort of like people getting renew their vows, that sort of thing? Or?
It's anything. I did a wedding on Sunday and the couple had never been married before. She was 70 and he was in his 50s.
Oh, I love
and
that.
It was beautiful and it was...
Gosh, she's pulled.
Yeah, well, I think he was punching. So it was beautiful and they had the whole works. She had the most gorgeous dress. She's a very tall lady, very slim, and she was off the shoulder. It was drop dead gorgeous. And what couples do, if they're using a celebrant, if they want to be legally married, they have to do the legal marriage registration at the register office.
Right, okay.
Now, that's £46 to be legally married.
You can literally just rock up and do that, can't you?
No, you have to book an appointment.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But you can just rock up.
But do you need a witness?
You need 2 witnesses.
Yeah.
We call it a 2+2. The registration service call it the basic marriage registration.
Okay, yeah.
But it is 2+2. It's the couple and 2 witnesses.
2 witnesses, yeah.
And it's Monday to Friday. It's 10-minute ceremony, usually in the register office, in an office. So it's not particularly glamorous, but it's the paperwork. So it's like, I try to explain to people that when you have a baby, you register the baby's birth at the office and then you go and have a christening.
Yeah.
And then when somebody dies, you register the death at the register office, and then you go and have a celebration of life. Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's the same with weddings. So you register the marriage, and the 2 declarations, the legal declarations are: do you know of any reason why you can't be married? And you take each other to be lawfully wedded wife. That's all you need to do. Rings, vows, you save that for the celebrant-led ceremony, and it opens up where people can have their wedding. So it doesn't have to be a licensed venue, although we work at most licensed venues, but it opens up the beach, it opens up woodland, it opens up people's back gardens. I go to France and I do weddings in chateaus in France, and they do the legal bit over here, and then they take their guests over to France.
That's a good job.
And it's just, it's wonderful. It's a fabulous celebration, and it's one that everybody, all the family, come together. But occasionally, like with any family, there could be some dysfunctional behaviour. And that's what you want to know. Do you know, my couples are wonderful. I don't have any dysfunctional couples. I'm so sorry.
You just make something up.
Make it up, yeah.
So how do you personalise the ceremony? Obviously, you meet with the couple beforehand.
Yeah, so I have a questionnaire.
Get to know them a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And we build a relationship. And I write, every ceremony is written from scratch. And it takes into account as much of their personality as I possibly can. So what I've learned from them, everything. There's no rules and there are no restrictions to what they can have in that ceremony because the legal bit has been done separately. So they can have fun with their vows. I mean, Sunday's wedding, they wanted a ring blessing.
Oh, right.
So I sort of said to them, they're very much into their sea and the diving. They've known each other 18 years, or they've been together 18 years, and he's a deep sea diver. And every time he goes away on holiday, he dives down, he brings a shell, and he hands it to her.
Oh.
And she's got a jar with all the shells from 18 years of this diving. Is there a romantic bone in your body?
I'm terrible.
My husband's not romantic at all. So
when I'm filming speeches, she looks over, she knows I'll be crying. I'm a nightmare.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Daddy-daughter dances, he's sitting there going,
Oh,
that's so nice.
I can't film a daddy-daughter. Well, I can. I have to film them, but it's hard.
No, it's wonderful.
I think after having a girl, because he's got boys, and then he had a girl, and he's like, oh my God.
I have 3 boys and a girl.
Well, I've got a girl and 2 boys, and only the middle one, the boy, is married.
Oh, right.
So he got married in Gibraltar, where he lives. Well, he's in the Cayman Islands at the moment for the next 2 years, but he lives married a Gibraltarian. But yeah, so she's collected these shells. So I have a shell that's sort of like a clam shell that a jeweller gave me, and it clips together so that I can use it as a ring box if somebody wants. And it's really tactile, it's very shiny, it's very lovely. and I mentioned it, and she said, "Oh, can we have a ring blessing?" And I said, "Yeah." So the idea is you don't touch the rings, you just touch the box or the bag that it's in, and you give the couple your blessings or some words of love or whatever whilst, you pass the rings along. Normally, couples will choose 3 or 4 people. So it might be mums, there might be children involved. It just gets people involved that maybe aren't bridesmaids and groomsmen and reading and stuff. This couple had 26 people on their list. So I got them all up. I called them all up. It's like a school roll call.
Oh my goodness.
I called them all up, and they stood at the front of the ring, the
How
room.
many guests were there in total?
About 80.
So it's like half.
I have done it with all. I had a wedding
Like
with
a
60.
B&I meeting. Get a minute each.
I know, yeah, 30 seconds.
Yeah, perfect.
I did a wedding for a couple, and they had 60 guests, and all 60 got involved, and we just passed it down the seats and then back again. But this couple, I had them all up at the front, and it was really lovely. And at one point, the bride's mum was in the middle, very lovely old lady with big hat. She had probably the biggest hat I've seen out of all the guests, and she dropped her head down and she just cuddled to this ring. And I tell you what, you could hear people going.
Oh,
It was so lovely. She really took it so
can I ask,
seriously.
is it the couple that you mentioned just now, the 50 and the 70?
yeah.
God, the mum must be
I
getting
know. Yeah. Yeah.
Blimey.
No, it was amazing.
Oh, how
It was
sweet.
amazing. So it's little things like that we can do. We can have a bit of fun with the ceremony.
What's sort of like the weirdest request you've been asked to do?
Do it
at a
naked.
wedding? Oh, no.
You had?
Yeah.
I say no. That's the only thing I've had to say no to. I've dressed in steampunk. I've done a
Star Wars?
Not yet. I'd love to do that. I don't have enough hair to do the. But I've done.
Oh, God. That scared me this time.
Oh, what did you say?
Oh,
I
you
said 11.
4
No, I
and
think
11.
we've gone past 11.
I'll let you off. I'll tell you
Jenny
what.
Lynch feels free.
I need something stronger than coffee. That
You know Jenny, she's 3 seconds out.
was she?
I think so.
She's brilliant.
I think she's free, and we've just had a boxer on, and he was about
15?
12, 15 seconds out.
Oh, I'm always.
I've got to play both of them ones back just to double check, otherwise people on the internet.
Well, you're lucky I'm not a day out.
Yeah.
Because I quite
I could
easily
have just stayed on there though.
Yeah, that would have been cool, wouldn't it? I'd have got an extra prize for
Made
that.
you jump though, didn't it?
It really made me
I think
jump.
that's happened twice. That it's just stayed on the wall. Once was at home because he stuck
The
it to
wall's
our
too
actual
smooth.
wall.
I couldn't get it back off the wall.
Some of that no nails clip stuff.
And it did stay on once here.
Why do you take it down? If it goes up when people are video, when you're doing one of these podcasts, why do you take it down?
Always falls down.
Yeah,
Oh,
but why
sorry.
don't you permanently stick it up?
It was the very first podcast we did. We just gathered a couple of chairs
Oh, it was us, wasn't it?
and we
Yeah.
were just spitballing, weren't we?
Yeah.
We was talking about our idea for the podcast.
Okay.
And I just looked at it and thought, that's not going to stay up. And I went, that's been double-sided. I've double-sided that sign. It's bound to fall off at any time. And then as soon as we stopped recording, it fell off the wall.
So it just happened like
From
that.
then
didn't
on, we purposely don't. I buy.
You don't care about our tickets
I
at all,
don't
do you?
exactly.
it? And it ruins some of the like people were really in depth in like really discussing.
It's always something. Yeah, something serious.
yeah, serious discussions, and then they're like,
Lucky you weren't asking me about
unfor-
funerals
it's
then.
like, and then unfortunately he passed away in my arms.
gosh, and we're like, I'm really
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Where were we?
Yeah, most of us like a little white feather to come down,
It's
not
turned
a
into the only
sign.
interesting thing in the podcast.
Oh, well, there. Fair enough. I can accept that.
Oh no, apart from you, obviously, you're our favourite guest.
Yeah, I bet you say it to everyone.
I'm like the Bruce Forsyth.
It's the classic old ones, isn't it? They are the best.
You don't know what we're talking
I
about.
have no idea. The only thing I know is like a conveyor belt with toys and
No,
prizes
he used to
go,
say
"Come
you're,
on, a
Oh,
minute."
he used to
God,
always
yeah.
say you're so much better than last week
Yeah.
to the audience all the time.
All the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Brilliant. Love the catchphrase.
Anyway, so
weird.
if,
I've forgotten where we were.
if
but
you were
anyway.
close, you would have got. There's a thing for
Is
it.
there?
The closest
Right.
gets £100 to a charity of their choice.
Oh, well, Jenny deserves it.
yeah,
does.
she's lovely,
She's good.
Jenny.
She is
actually.
lovely. Yeah.
Called her a Buddha though, didn't I?
Yeah.
Not a Buddhist.
He went, so you're a Buddha? She went, I'm not.
Something like that. Or I was talking about her on a different podcast, and I went, Jenny Lynchfield, she's a Buddha. And my friend who was guest host,
Yeah.
because she wasn't very well, she went, Buddhist. Absolute idiot.
They are very different.
And then I said to her, I'm going to talk. I said, I always start when I'm on a podcast and I start talking
Australian.
Cockney, and then I went top of the morning.
Right,
And
geezer.
she went, that's Irish. Yeah. So I made a right fool of myself.
Yeah.
That's 45
Like it.
minutes.
That's why you need
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
To keep him on the
Well,
straight and narrow.
She kept me on the straight and narrow-ish.
Have you got one of those little taser things? that
Yeah.
Every time he steps out of line, you just
But she
push
has to
that
pass it
button.
along.
Right. I don't mind. I'll take one for the team.
Anyway, where were we?
How have we never met you before in our lives?
We were just weird sort of requests or anything that they've asked you to do, and you thought no. So obviously,
Oh yes,
Naked
so
is
naked.
one.
Naked
no.
was one.
I wouldn't do. No, I couldn't. I just couldn't.
I mean, if that
Would
was
you,
the
Rach?
case, would we have to turn up naked?
Well,
No.
the celebrants that I know who do it,
Somewhere to strap my GoPro.
they'll wear a cloak
Yeah.
to sort of, but they're naked underneath. One of my team will do it. Yvonne
Really?
Yvonne will do it.
Yvonne, you'll
Yvonne.
do it.
Oh, we need to get
Yeah.
Yvonne, come
She's
onto
in
the show.
Spain. She lives in Spain.
We need you to prove it, right, Yvonne, on the show.
No, don't encourage her because she will. She makes my ticker go sometimes as well. Sometimes, but
I don't
she's
know,
brilliant.
I don't know if I would if you were invited to one and they said obviously clothing
No.
optional.
I'd be doing my hair or
I wouldn't know where to
something.
look. I'd be like,
No.
oh God, where do I photograph? Waist up.
I think the fantastic thing is when you use a celebrant, you can do whatever you want and have whoever, and there will be somebody out there for everybody.
Absolutely.
So I've dressed as steampunk, but I don't take my clothes off. But others will do the taking the clothes off, but they won't dress up as Star Wars. We've all got
we've
things
all
that
got
we'll
things
do
to do,
and things
yeah.
that we won't do. And the nice bit about it is there are couples out there that buy us as a person, and then we write the ceremony for them because we're on a similar level. I'm very lucky like that, I'll be honest. My couples are amazing.
Saying that,
They all
I have gigged naked before.
What?
Yeah.
When
I'm a
have
bass
you?
player in a band.
Okay, so behind the guitar.
Yes. The
Okay,
guitar
a
hid-
bit like Calendar
well,
Girls,
The guitar,
the guitar men.
the guitar tried to hide it.
Oh, who are you trying to kill?
Yeah, she knows you so well.
No,
Told you I've done my research.
she already knows I'm full of. She already knows I'm full of crap. She's only watched 2 podcasts. She's like, he's full of crap.
It's very true.
Yeah, we was gigging at a place called the Water Rats isn't right. Something in Ashford. There's a pub in Ashford. Can't remember what it's called.
Okay, anyway.
Tickle
doesn't-
Trout?
No,
No, it's not
it's a
Tickle
very
Trout.
strange steampunky place. Really weird art inside.
Oh.
I want to say
Oh,
Water
in the
Rats.
middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The Batten something, wasn't it? It was,
Bats, something bats.
Yeah, it was something.
Thingy
Is
bats.
it a pub?
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere,
Oh.
and they liked. What's the word? What's the
They,
art that you when you
Stuffing
stuff
animals.
Taxidermy.
Taxidermy.
Oh, I love taxidermy.
There were stuffed animals. It was an amazing pub, but some people would be
Really
freaked out with
quirky.
it. Some people
Yeah.
would love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we gigged there, and for some reason, someone got naked while we were playing. And our singer,
do?
female singer, who was the one we were talking about who stood in for Rach, Kelly, she was singing around. She's looked round, and the whole band is there naked as well.
Oh my god! As in,
Yeah.
how did you
I
do
think
that
I left my
without-
pants on but hidden behind the guitar, so I looked naked.
My 40th birthday party was at the Folkestone Rugby Club because I used to be a social secretary and I was a
rugby
coach.
players.
I was a rugby coach. And I had my 40th, and it was really funny because I had guests that were family, I had guests that were rugby club, and
Yeah.
I had guests that were work colleagues. And there was one rugby guy there that I just knew if you play anything by Tom Jones, he strips off.
Oh,
So I said to the band, no Tom Jones. Whatever you
Oh,
play,
right.
I
I
don't
thought
care.
you was
But
gonna say
no, my mother was there. There was no way. And they brought out my
Nice
cake.
stripper.
They brought out my cake and they brought out a knife and the band started singing Delilah and his clothes came off. And he was, I don't know, 6'5", 6'6", a huge chap. And
Oh, yeah.
my mother-in-law moved her seats closer to the front so she had a better view. My mother was absolutely mortified. The work colleagues all sort of left. The rugby lot just encouraged him. My friends stayed. Family thought it was absolutely brilliant. And the photographer got loads of pictures. And about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months later, I was having a doing something at a wedding fair, I think it was, and I'd put my laptop on the table with photographs, and I had put the wrong album on, so it was all my photographs.
Oh no, it's showing the
And it
naked
went-
ones.
It was everything. So there were photos of my cat and my dog and my kids, and Steve just
Naked.
whizzed past. And then whizzed past again. And it was like, oh my God. So I switched that off, and I sort of, I was as pink as this dress. You know, it was hilarious. But yeah, that was a long time ago. I didn't have a 50th in the same place.
Or invite the same
people. No, I definitely didn't. It was good fun. It was good fun.
So going back to your ceremonies and
Let's
stuff
go
like
back to
that.
St. Cecilia, shall we?
I'm just thinking, because so they can be any length. They can be like 5
Yeah.
minutes. They can be
Yeah.
an hour if they want. What is the longest one that you've been on?
I've only most of mine are about half an hour, 25 to 35 minutes. We can do something like a full hand fasting ceremony, which is a really beautiful Celtic ceremony.
Tying the knot.
Yeah, and you call in the quarters, so you call in earth and air and wind and fire, and it's very, very spiritual and very beautiful, and that can take an hour to hour and a half by the time you.
Did you get any other X-Men in, or?
Well, I do have a company I work with who do dress hire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you've probably heard of them. So
Really?
Hire a Hero, Gavin Finn.
Is he the guy that comes
He
to
makes
visit our son?
amazing costumes. He does Spider-Man
Yeah.
but he does X-Man.
Do you know where he lives? Does he live-
Ashford.
Ashford.
His wife's Lou Finn that does Bake to the Future cakes.
Oh, no, I don't.
You don't know?
recognise-
Well, you better
no.
Google them. 'Cause,
Okay.
they should be on this
We
show.
should have him on the show, yeah.
They're a character.
We've got this
pair of them.
local guy that does that, haven't we? And our son, he had a few issues down below. He's only little. And from birth, I knew there was a problem. I was like, this is going to sound wrong. This is going to sound so
I
wrong.
like the way he's warning us now.
There's a warning on this.
Okay.
Right? So
Basically,
I've got 3 sons. I had 3 sons before my last son, right? And so I could tell there was something wrong down there.
He needs
Bit
to
of
be
fusion.
circumcised.
A
there
bit
we
of
go.
fusion that shouldn't be fused. So we took it to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, no, it's absolutely fine. He said, as he gets older, as he urinates and things like that, it will eventually separate.
Is this really going out on the
Right?
podcast?
Yes. Oh, this bit's about to go on the podcast. This is the bit what I tell everyone. I said to the doctor, now look, I've seen some kids' penises in my time.
And then social services turned up.
I said, I've got 3 other sons. I said, and there's something not quite right with that. He said, I assure you it's fine. He was wrong, and he needed to have this circumcision, but an extreme sort of one. Bless his heart. How old was he? 3?
Yeah.
And you're putting this out on your podcast.
He'll be all right.
So he's going to
when he
be
gets
traumatised when he's 18.
It's 1 out of 4, so they don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
They don't know which one it is. Yeah, the youngest one, Ted.
That
Hi,
is
Ted.
so cruel.
How's your Willie? How's your Willie?
So cruel.
Right, so but our neighbours are friends with a costume guy, and we had Spider-Man turn
Yeah,
up.
fantastic.
So
I love
Spider-Man
things like
came
that.
down the road. Hello, mate. How are you? I've come to see you.
Wonder Woman, and he had the
He had Wonder
Captain
Woman
America
with him.
shield
Yeah.
and everything.
And
so
he
it made it really
held the
special.
shield, and he had poses. But Ted, because of the operation, he couldn't wear any bottoms, right?
So he just wore a big T-shirt.
So he had a big T-shirt on, but one of the poses, right? He's got his own
Do we really
staff.
wanna go
He's got his own, he's got his own weapon out as well as the shield.
We were like, wow, we can't.
Anyway, later on, there's a new Spider-Man film come out. 6 months, maybe a year later. I don't think a year, but 6 months later, and we've gone to the cinema, and this Spider-Man's there, waving at everyone, shaking hands with the kids. He went, "Hello, Ted. How are you getting?"
We were like, oh my God, it's you.
It's remembered. That's mortifying.
Anyway,
Moving on.
weddings.
Now, you did ask about mentoring. And
Yes.
well, you
That's
can
right,
see.
yeah.
Yes.
I only bring that up because that's my latest passion. I really like it because I think it's just taking all the experiences that I've had and helping others. It started with celebrancy. There are a lot of training organisations out there. And what I found is I've had friends that have trained and spent a lot of money to be trained as a celebrant, but they don't know how to run a business. They've come from maybe a teaching background, or they've retired from the council. And the workflow system it does it for you. You know, you finish a job and somebody tells you what the next one is. And networking in particular has been a real issue for some people. They've never experienced going out and having to find the work, and it doesn't land on your desk. You know, it's a job, you have to sell it, you know. So that's what I do. I work with small business owners, weddings predominantly, although the skills are transferable. I've got a nutritionist and a dentist and, you know, various other businesses I work with, but I like the wedding industry. And most of us go into the wedding industry because we've got a passion for it. Doesn't necessarily make us any money or enough money.
We see it as a privilege.
But it's absolute honour to be involved with the best day of someone's life. Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
And it always makes me feel so amazed when you scroll through Facebook. It says, oh, you might know this person. And I recognise the photo and I think, they've actually got one of my photos. It makes me feel so nice inside. I know I'm the photographer and I've taken 500, 600 photos, but it just makes me feel so nice that they've used that photo as like a social media platform sort of photo to show everyone. I'm like, oh, that's fine. That's fine.
No, I think it's just wonderful that we're given that opportunity. I've loved weddings since I was a kid. I mean, I was in the church choir when I was 7. And we used to get paid £1 a wedding. And on a Saturday, you only got married on a Saturday.
Buy an house back then, though, with £1.
Well, almost, yeah, definitely 50 quid maybe. But I used to do 6 or 7 weddings a day, and that was an envelope at the end with 8 quid. You know,
you're going around like that, and you're
I know. And now, well, it doesn't quite work like that. But I liked seeing I used to get to ring the bells. That was my job. At the end of the service, and I just liked the dresses. I liked, you know, the ceremony and the pomp and ceremony.
We've got a friend that does that. I can never remember the term for ringing the bells.
Oh, it's
campanologist.
That's it. Yeah,
it's something that you wouldn't link to bell ringing at all.
Sounds like that's going to Glastonbury, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I was exactly the same though. When my mum's friend, I was about 3 or 4. And my mum's friend got married and she said, all you did all day, I wasn't a bridesmaid, I was just invited to the wedding. And because my mum and dad had me quite young and a lot of their friends didn't have children at the time. So I was invited to the wedding and she said, all you did all day was just go around and hold my dress. She said, that's all you did. From the moment I came out that church, you just went around and just held my dress the whole time.
Princess role.
And I was like, I loved it.
And she'd been wearing wedding dresses
ever since. I heard about that earlier. Yeah, he was telling me.
I was just always destined to go down the wedding route, I think.
But it was lovely because opening up a wedding dress shop, it's not as glamorous as it sounds. You know, the dresses are beautiful and luxurious, but you're a sales assistant. You're just selling a very luxurious, expensive product.
Absolutely.
And it's hard physical work putting girls in 8 or 9 dresses in the space of a couple of hours, you know. And it's not always very glamorous. You know, I've had brides that have forgotten to wear knickers. You know, and I've got 2 mirrors either end of the changing room. You know, and it's like, how can you forget to put your knickers on? I don't get it. But I found that going into celebrancy, I still get to see the bride in her dress, but all glammed up. And it's just lovely. And I get to work with the grooms. I've sold wedding rings. That was my favourite thing, working for another company, going out to people at home with a suitcase of wedding rings and actually meeting the groom. Because so much of the wedding is bride focused.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all the groom really wants is the best day for his wife.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, the one that we've just done last week, he just said, I asked him a few questions while she was preparing to walk down the aisle, and there's sort of like about 20 minutes, isn't there, where she's arrived and everyone's seated. And I said, I asked him a question about confetti, I think. He said, look, it's her day, whatever she wants goes, you know, I just want her to be happy. And that was his main focus. That's what he kept saying.
If she's
happy, wife, happy life.
Exactly. And he was just so focused on, as long as she's okay, as long as she's happy, I don't mind. So, and that's so nice.
It is lovely. And I spend a lot of time just saying to the couple, you know, it is the day for both of you. So your ceremony is about both of you. You know, your vows. I mean, most of the time I'll help them write their vows if they want help. I give them examples and, you know, they can pick things and tweak it here and there and find their own. And you can have a bit of fun with it if you want to. So you sort of sandwich some romance with some fun and, you know, something serious. It depends how you want to do it. I had one couple where, you know, they did alternate lines. So he said something and she said something and he said something. Yeah.
And all his mates are ready to wind him up.
Well, his one was, in the event of a zombie apocalypse, I'm going to throw you, I've kept my fitness levels up and I'm going to throw you over my shoulder and I'm going to run. And her one line backwards, I run faster than you. You've just got to keep up, and you can just have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, that's really good.
So, I do like it. And a lot of grooms are having their own entrance now, coming into their own piece of music, which is really good fun, because a lot of these ideas come from America. That they're very far forward with their sort of ideas of what they think, you should do at a wedding. And over the years, I've had couples want to do selfies when they get to the top of the aisle, before all the cameras are put away. And if it's going to be an unplugged ceremony, that's a great opportunity to, instead of just saying to people, you've got to put your cameras away now, let's have a bit of fun first and then put your cameras away. And the groom's entrance is really good if if her parents are together and the bride's father is walking her up the aisle. I always ask, who's looking after your mum? Because if the groom's parents are together, they'll walk to the front, but mum's on her own. Yeah. And it's, okay, she's got to get to the front. So if the groom walks her to the front to his piece of music, it means she hasn't got to do it on her own. So it's a double-edged thing, because it gives him a bit of kudos with the future mother-in-law. And I get everybody to stand, and then that's their practice run.
You can tell her it was his idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just a lovely thing to do.
That was one of my questions that I was going to ask, because you've been in the industry and you've done so many parts of the industry as well. You must have seen so many different changes and so many things come and go and come back again. Yeah. Oh, wow. So you must have seen like different trends. And how do you personally think or stay on trend and sort of think, right, okay, like you said earlier, like America's doing it. So
I think weddings are going back to being small, intimate affairs. In terms of the ceremony and the big day. It's still a big day, but maybe with less hanger-oners, more close friends and family. I've certainly seen that over the last year. And I think brides and grooms are spending their money on the things that are important to them rather than all the trappings, the flip-flops and the cloaks and the favours and the signage. Some of it's still there. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's doing this, but couples are maybe still having 8 or 9 bridesmaids, but they're
a bit more wiser with the extras.
They're not spending the money somewhere else. Something is replacing, something. So, they won't necessarily have a 3-tier cake. They'll have a 1-tier cake and then lots of little cakes or donuts and other things.
Yeah.
And I think that just the fantastic bit about it is you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's the biggest trend, is that there is no right thing to do, no one thing to do. Floristry, we've gone from, when I was doing it 30 odd years ago, it was a lot of silks and a lot of dried. And then now it's easier to get fresh. Obviously in the 80s, you couldn't necessarily get them.
Well, the tips, we had a florist in. We had Frankie in from Saint and Davison, just down the road. And we asked him last minute. We had a last minute blowout. We said, do you want to come on tomorrow? I'd love to. The tips he gave us. Yeah. You put flowers in boiling water.
And bleach.
Oh, bleach, yes.
No. He went, bleach. And how quickly they can turn it around now as well. So he said he can get an order in within 24 hours.
And more people are growing their own flowers as well. So there's a lot of, certainly in Kent, there's a lot of farms where they are growing flowers and then florists are going and picking the flowers. So it's all sustainable. It's keeping it local rather than always coming in from Holland. And that does still happen.
Oh, he does. He gets most of his from Holland.
Yeah, but there's different ways of doing it.
The size of his freezer. I see his freezers the other day. They're huge. Yeah. Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
That's not a euphemism.
No.
We're going that route again.
Make sure you have to make it. I'm sorry about her.
So how did you were in and out of the wedding industry? How did COVID affect you? What were you doing around that time?
I had 24 weddings booked and I lost every single one of them.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
On top of that, I've got a little cottage that we rent in Wales, and we went down there the day before they announced lockdown. And we thought, okay, the rules are different in Wales to the ones that were in England. What should we do? Should we go home or should we stay? And we thought it'll only be a couple of weeks. So we stayed. 17 weeks we were stuck in Wales with my kids in Folkestone. And I mean, they're older; they're in their late 20s and early 30s. They weren't toddlers.
Nappies everywhere.
That's it. Left them at home with the cats. They didn't like 17 weeks of having to fend for themselves and cook dinner. But I had no work at all. A lot were postponed.
What were you doing at the time then? What industry were you in? The sort of mentoring? Or
well, the mentoring's been going on in the background of everything, but I was a celebrant.
Right.
So 2020, every single ceremony was cancelled or postponed. So I was in Wales, didn't know what to do. So I went back to my retail roots and I set up an online jewellery business, just an online shop. And I started bringing in British-made jewellery and selling it online. And I still do that now, although that's just a little sort of side hustle that I have. So I do Christmas fairs and things like that. But again, it has helped with the mentoring, because a lot of coaches that I speak to and a lot of wedding industry coaches have been there, done that, and now they're coaching. And I'm still doing it. So I've met some people recently that gave up in COVID because it got too much, but they're now telling people how to run their businesses, which is great. The advice they give is fantastic.
That can slightly go out of date though.
Well, it is, because they're not living it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other coaches, and I'm a mentor. I don't say a coach because I'm not a trained coach. I mentor based on my experiences and expertise, but I'm still living through that 4 years, with no weddings, and see the things drip down or drop down, and see things starting to come back up. And this year has been a horrendous year for a lot of wedding businesses. It's still not quite there. It's at the end. I think somebody said to me that if you think about it, in 20 and 21, people were not going out. They weren't seeing each other. Therefore, they weren't meeting each other.
Yeah.
Now, if it takes a couple of years of a relationship before you decide to get married, those 2 years are happening now.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So weddings are going to be in 2 years' time and onwards.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I've got more weddings booked for next year than I have for the whole of this year.
Yeah, we've got quite a few next year. But we don't rely totally on weddings, so know we're quite
well. The mentoring has picked up where the weddings has slowed down a little bit. Yeah, and I'm still working with people in the wedding industry, so that's it's a win-win. So I run networking events and I get people together and I mix. I always do matchmaking for businesses. So somebody that wants this and wants that, and it's like you need to chat to each other. So, I do that a lot.
So when you're mentoring these people, and what are the biggest challenges that you seem to come across when they come up to you and say, right, we need your help, help us do this.
I want to start this in the wedding industry, but I have no idea where to start
what
from.
are the biggest challenges that you
Actually,
see
the biggest challenges are the people that are in the industry and have been in the industry for a while. It's not the startups. They have a confidence and a passion. Whether they see the wedding industry as something luxurious and it's going to make them lots of money, or it's because it's an industry that they love, it's a hobby that they've had, or it's a bride who's made her own flowers and now wants to do floristry. But the people, sorry, I hit that. That's because I talk with my hands.
Right.
I need to sit on them. That's the problem.
I'm getting the sound through here, and it wasn't that loud. So Rachel does much worse than that.
That's all right then. But I think the biggest problem is complacency, because the youngsters that are coming into the industry have a wonderful passion and confidence, and I think those of us that are a little bit older still have the passion, but maybe some are losing some confidence. And when they're seeing, I hear it all the time with celebrants. I said, when I started, there were 4, now there's over 100 just in Kent. And that's happening across the country. And that's whether you're a funeral celebrant or a wedding celebrant. If you imagine you're going out to try and drum up funeral business, there's only so many funeral directors out there. And with everybody now looking at costs, even on funerals with direct cremation, they're not spending as much on funerals. So the work is hard to get, but it's out there if you look for it. And I think what the people that I'm chatting to have got maybe an out-of-date website. They haven't kept it going. They don't do a lot of social media. They expect the loyalty from other suppliers to still be there. And they expect to be trading on their name, which isn't a bad thing because they have a great reputation, but actually you can't stand still.
There's a different way of advertising these
totally
days.
Different.
Yeah.
And even we found that, like the industry, the techniques and the technology as well.
Yeah.
It's just skyrocketing.
I feel the techniques spur me on. I see this new videography company. I'm like, oh, look how they've edited that. It's beautiful.
And
then I'll learn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's a rare quality. There are
Thank
lots.
you very much.
I thought I'd let you have that one.
He's going to be, oh God, he's going to go day now. I've got a rare quality.
It's much better than a conversation about your son's willy. So that's all I'm going to say.
Which is staying on the podcast, by the way. So. Your podcast is going to be forever known.
Absolutely. Well, if it gets the views, I don't mind.
Oh, he's going to do one of those shorts where it's you've got a rare quality. That's all I'm doing now.
Brilliant. But I think that everybody that's in the wedding industry is doing it because they love it. You know, there isn't one person that doesn't actually love what they do, but they are struggling, and people buy differently now. You know, everything's instant. You know, you shop on Amazon, it's there, you know, a few hours later. So answering emails and dealing with inquiries and the questions, you know, couples are doing their research and they've got so many people they can compare. And then there are always those that only buy on price. And, you know, you've just got to decide, are you sort of high end? Are you going to be middle of the road, or are you going to be budget? And if you're middle of the road, there are far more middle of the road businesses that you're competing with than the high end or the budget. So you have to market yourself differently. And it's constant.
We've seen that because we've done wedding fairs. We do Detling Wedding Fair, don't we? And we've seen people come in, new companies come in, offer it at a certain price. And we're thinking, how are you actually making money?
Yeah, but then they go out of business very quickly.
And then we haven't seen them again the next time. We're like, oh, okay. So we've seen a bit of everything.
These are usually companies that are last minute blown a couple out.
Yeah.
Or something like that, and then the couple are calling for other.
Well, there's an awful lot of that going on at the moment, isn't there? You know, people not turning up for the service that they've been paid for. You know, sometimes it's because they take on too much, and sometimes it's because they
thought the industry through. You know,
no, and I always find it interesting when somebody will buy from a business just on Facebook without doing any other research. The company are based up in Birmingham, but they're going to come down and drop your love letters off for you. You know, they're going to do that 2.5 hour drive. Just for £150 set of love letters. And I just think it's just not sustainable.
No.
So it does happen, unfortunately. But I just chat to people. Well, I just chat. You know, and most of my mentoring is just based on what are your problems, what's your sticking point, pain point, and can we do something either differently or tweak it slightly? And I do get people sometimes go, oh, I tried that. When did you try it? Well, about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, but the market's changed now. Try it again.
Yeah.
Do you prefer working with people that are already in the industry or new starters, or do you?
Most of my clients are people that are already in the industry. I don't have very many new starters, partly because I think there is that confidence that they don't need the help. They can just come in and do it, and you know, and that's great. And it's only maybe later that they, you know, you see mistakes made. People tread on people's toes. They undercut. And it's like, why are you devaluing what you do? Absolutely, totally.
You know, our industry, videography, can go from £300 a wedding to £10,000, £15,000 a wedding. You know?
And I see celebrants, you know, coming, some ex-registrars that are now retiring or jumping ship and want to do it themselves because it's so lovely. And they're charging $350, and then there are others charging $1,000 and others charging $4,000. And, you know, if you can get something different for each, that's great. But you can't sustain a mortgage or rent on £300 a go.
Exactly.
You know, so you have to be realistic about it, really. But if you've got a pension that's supplementing you, it's a different ball game. And unfortunately, there are a lot of sort of those people in business where, you know, they're getting a pension or they've still got maybe a part-time job, but they don't value what they're offering as a business. So then they undercut because they just want to do the wedding. And actually, you don't want to just do the wedding. You're in business. You need to earn some money out of it.
And the amount of times, like we've been in wedding fairs and we've said to people, you know, it's this price, and they've said for one day. And we have to say to people, I'm really sorry.
Oh,
it's
I had
not
somebody say that to me.
That's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. She said, she rang me up and she asked how much I charged. And I told her how much I charged. She went, how much? And I said, what were you thinking you were going to pay? She said, well, you're only there for half an hour. I thought 50 quid. I was like, I don't get out of bed for 50 quid. I know, it was a long time ago. And my fee wasn't that high.
Write everything in, you know, you've got to learn about them, haven't you?
It's hours and hours and hours of writing. And yes, I turn up an hour before, and then, you know, however long it takes for the wedding and, you know, for all the guests to arrive. And then if I'm lucky, I have a glass of fizz before I go home. And then I go home. That, for me, it's all those hours leading up to the day. Whereas photographers and videographers, a lot of it's the research at the beginning, but then you've got all the editing to do after, and people don't realise the amount of work.
You know, I would never be any earlier than 2 hours before a ceremony.
No.
just for setting up.
Yeah. Well, I do sort of an hour to 45 minutes before, because it's literally me and my folder.
No, I'm not knocking you for it. It's completely different industry.
Oh, totally. But the point is, you still get there early enough that you can prepare. If the chairs are in the right place and you know something's happened, you're prepared for it. I can't stand being late. That's I was early for here today.
Well done,
and thank you. I just can't bear being late.
We're the same.
And at the end of the day, I'd rather sit in the car for an hour.
Yeah. Eating jellies.
Playing on Facebook.
We usually
I daren't do that. I'll be like hypo. I'm bad enough as it is. We take food with us,
don't we? Even if we're being fed, we take food just in case, because you can never rely sometimes. And I'm eating it before we've left the road.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Because we try and cram in as much as we can, because as soon as we say, right, okay, we're here from 10:30 with the bride, bridal prep, we don't get to sit down till about 5 o'clock, and we don't drink, we don't eat, so we're like, right, okay, we get as much in as possible to fill us up, so we get that little bit of energy. But he's eating it before the end of the road.
I can't eat before. I get very nervous when I do my weddings. And it doesn't matter. I've done over 300, and I still get nervous.
The day you don't is the day you should jack it in.
Absolutely, because you don't care. But I do know that if I eat something, or if I drink some, a bottle of lemonade or something, I'm just going to be burping. I can't do that in the middle. Sometimes you have a microphone. It's like, excuse me.
I can do a sly one behind the camera.
But
I don't have that
still
advantage.
Get picked up on the camera though.
Well, but you can edit it out.
I just put music over it.
You'll
just see the picture go like that.
Yeah.
Or hiccups. Hiccups will be the worst.
I think cover it up with hiccups.
Thank God for tripods.
Cough. That would be my worst nightmare.
So you've got something coming up in November, and it's called, let me get this right, Kent Wedding Fest?
Kent Wed Fest.
Wed Fest.
We shortened it all down.
So explain a little bit more about that and what this is all entailing.
It's sort of snowballed from the Wedding Circle, which is a networking event that I run every 2 months, and it's where we get all the wedding suppliers together over dinner in a wedding venue. It's really civilised. It's really good fun. I'll let you know. It's £15 a head.
Unfortunately,
I love the way she's mentioned
how much?
How much? I know.
She's mentioned food, and he's like, right, I'm in.
I'm in. Way to a man's heart, isn't it? Absolutely, every time. And with that, it's about networking, and it's about getting people together. And there are people that have come for the 14 years or so that I've been running it that wouldn't say boo to a goose. They wouldn't stand up and do a 60 seconds. It was like, I do this and I sit down again. And now they'll stand and they'll have a conversation. We don't do the 60 seconds because with COVID, we were passing a microphone around. And it's just like, okay.
No,
and
the germ stick.
I'm a great believer in people, if they come into a networking event, go out and chat to people. And sometimes people will say to me, oh, I didn't get the chance. I didn't meet anyone new. Well, you sat on your chair all day. You sat with your friends. You've got to do the room.
Absolutely.
So, oops, I've done it again.
That's all right.
The Kent Wed Fest is a sort of an expansion on the networking meetings. So it is a whole day event at the Cave Hotel, and it involves guest speakers and food. There is the Cave are providing a 2-course lunch, but it involves getting people there to network as well and collaborate and learn things that the expert speakers are all in the wedding industry. So I've got Becca Pountney coming, who is a videographer from up sort of Buckinghamshire way, but she has been coaching and she goes around the country giving the most amazing motivational talks. I heard her once in Birmingham and she's incredible. So she's coming to do a presentation. I've got Nicola from Proposed PR, which is a wedding solely for wedding companies, PR company based in Hythe. So she's coming to talk about proper PR, not just going out and doing a wedding fair or sticking an advert in a magazine. It's getting yourself on the television, it's getting yourself in magazines, as write-ups. So I've got her. I've got Katie Hawkins, who is an award-winning makeup artist, and she's incredible. And she is doing a presentation on the customer experience and processes and things that, you can tighten up and improve for the benefit of your clients and really make yourself stand up. Laura McPhee from Versastar by Laura, she's just incredible.
She's like one of the top 3 in the world braiders or something.
I know, she is wonderful. See, I've got a great team working with me, and Laura's going to be doing a workshop, just a short workshop on reels. and making reels. And actually, we're going to get people to have a go. Because again, it's something some people are really good at. Some people don't even go anywhere near it.
Yeah.
And Facebook, you know, that's it. And TikTok and all of this.
Yeah.
So, I don't do TikTok.
We had our first experience with one, didn't we, recently? Social media girl, while we were filming, you were doing photos.
Oh, yes, yep.
She came down from Sunderland.
Wow.
And she was lovely. We got on
Content-
so well with her. Content creator.
Yeah, there's a lot of those now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really popular at weddings. And so Laura's going to be teaching everybody how to make a reel that's relevant to their business, because one of the things that Laura did in her business was when she's doing the hair for the brides, she's filming all the little bits, and then she puts it together and gives that to the couple as an extra. Doesn't charge them for it, but it's just a nice little bonus. So she's doing a presentation, and then Jeff and Sarah Oliver from Jeff Oliver Photography.
All right,
again, phenomenal photographers. That's a mouthful to say, isn't it?
Phenomenal
photographers.
Good job you didn't start with a flipping phenomenon.
Yeah. Just suddenly coming to myself. I go off like squirrel. My kids are always taking the mick out of me. I get distracted. But they're doing a presentation as well as to looking at collaboration and working with venues and other suppliers the right way.
Okay.
And the way to get business, rather than just turning up and saying, "Hi, I'm Karina, and you should give me work," you know, because I'm great.
So this is an event for
that.
suppliers, obviously.
Yep.
So how would they get on it? How do they?
So the website is kentwedfest.co.uk. So it's really, really nice and simple. There's an early bird ticket price at the moment of £175. That's for the whole day and includes all the refreshments and lunch. And you can pay for it over 3 months if you prefer to do it that way.
Quite be slowly, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's
always one.
Always, and it's him.
Yeah, it is me. Sorry. And another 10 websites you've got to tell us about. The Ring one. You got
No. I don't work for them anymore.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
no, I think the thing is that because I've been around for 35 years in the wedding industry, I've juggled full-time work with business. I've juggled 3 children with business, and I just like to think that I can help somebody overcome a problem. I think quite creatively. And that I don't like it. I don't like talking about myself because I don't like it to sound big-headed. And I've just spent the last hour talking about myself. So it's been really, really uncomfortable, but at the same time, really beautiful and really lovely. You've been really lovely.
Talking
and
about
I think
vasectomies. And...
Well, we didn't talk about vasectomies, but circumcisions. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a whole new ball game as well.
Go down there.
Sorry, yeah. That's why I've got so many kids. Because I keep getting...
There, you get it all wrong.
I've been circumcised 7 times.
It's still not worked.
It's still not worked. Why am I still having kids?
Well, there's obviously a reason.
Sorry that we've turned your
superhero,
podcast
there
into
you
a lot
are.
of penis.
Yeah, that's it. You didn't warn me about that one.
No, I wasn't planning it.
It just sort of went that way. Yeah, I'm so
coming.
sorry. Squirrel.
I would say it just sort of popped up, but again,
It just popped up, yeah. It's hard, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's getting worse.
Right,
It's
sorry.
getting worse.
Sorry,
No,
Mother.
that's fine. That's fine.
So to get mentoring from you, how would they find you that way?
I have a website, the Wedding Business Mentor.
Okay.
I have a Facebook page. I've there's a private group that I help people on, and I'm setting up a membership later this year that will be a sort of a cheaper sort of 24-hour, just like a lovely membership for support and £25 a month. Sort
Cool.
of idea.
And also the Wedding Circle, how's that?
Oh, the Wedding Circle's lovely because we've been doing that for about 14, 15 years. It started from B&I. It was a B&I power team, effectively. That's how it grew.
She has no idea what we're talking about.
No.
We've got a secret handshake and everything.
You were head of the power team. I know that.
I was head of the power
And
team.
did nothing. No.
Not too many builders.
Well, that's it. So the power team, the idea of the power team is anything, that works together, that can collaborate together. Like you say, the trades, the electrician and the plumber, that get together. And they did it the same with weddings, but there weren't enough people in the one
There's never one in one chapter.
No.
That's the problem.
So they set up it across sort of Kent, and it just snowballed. It stopped a few years ago. There were 9 or 10 of us, and we'd meet at a hotel, and we paid a £5 and we'd get some dodgy sausage rolls and some crisps. And over the years we just passed work to each other. It was a very friendly, very good group. We recognised the professionalism in everybody, but the group didn't grow and it sort of died a death. And then about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, Zoe Dowell, who has a curvy bridal boutique, she said to me, why don't you resurrect it? And it's like, well, it's not mine to resurrect. And I spoke to James Wilford from YMS Travel, who had organised it originally, and he said, yeah, if you want to do it, do it. So I do, and I volunteer as, I take, I get my ticket free. I've said it. I get £1 for everyone that comes along, and the caterers and the venue get the rest. Because it's not about making money out of an event, it's about bringing people together. And that £1 covers me for buying the stationery. And
the thing is, bringing people together, you're going to earn from it anyway, aren't you?
That was the plan, because celebrancy was so new that when we started it up, it was an opportunity for me to say to people, this is what a celebrant does. And they can see me in action when I'm presenting or whatever. And but it's fantastic, and we've got people that have been coming for the 14 years, and we've got some that came last month, and it's all based on recommendation. You can't just you can just turn up, but you have to pay in advance. So most people come because they've been invited. So somebody has invited somebody who's then thoroughly enjoyed what they've found, and then invites somebody else they know. And it builds a really strong network. And it's about passing work to each other and supporting each other. And there is a Facebook group, but it's a private group. So you get added on to that once you've attended a meeting. Okay. And as long as you attend the meetings, you stay in the group, because that's where the work gets passed. So if, somebody, we've had a venue say that the DJ's not turned up, weddings today, is there a DJ who's free? And there are 8 DJs, and somebody will put their hand up, or somebody will say, my bride and groom want a pork pie wedding cake. And one of the caterers will say, well, I can get big pork pies and I can make that for them. So it's all about working together and bringing business. So of course, when we turn up at weddings, we all know each other. And that's got to be the best thing for a couple, to know that they've got this dream team that are all working together to make their day the most amazing.
That's why we get along quite well, don't we? Because we say, love working with the industry, but there's nothing better than having that, hour where we're sitting down and we can just talk. And just not talk sometimes. We can just literally sit there and go, like that.
Telepathic between us sometimes. You know where each other needs to be. And then you start working with other photographers that you've worked with a long time, and the same thing happens there, And other videographers that we recommend as well, that can be second shooters for us, or, we pass,
work on.
I have a standard email usually that I post saying, unfortunately, we're already booked on your day, but try these videographers and photographers. So it's a very similar thing.
Well, I do a little bit more than that, because I like to be able to think that if I'm recommending somebody, not only are they good or great, that's why I recommend them, but they're also available. So when I can't, I check their availability first. So if I can't do it, or now I've got the team, if nobody can do it, and you get that one day a year, don't you, where everyone's booked, and you're turning lots of work away. I like to then text around and say, are you interested in this wedding on this day at this time? And then I go back to my couple and say, I'm really sorry, I can't do it, but these people can.
I might change that then. We play videographer tennis. We just keep referring each other.
That's great, isn't it? The thing is, I referred a couple to, I couldn't do a wedding once at a big venue in Kent. And the celebrant and that's why I set my team up, because the celebrant who took the ceremony put her banner up in the foyer and her business cards on all the chairs. And it was like, you're not doing a wedding to promote yourself. No. You don't do that, And luckily the venue scooped them all up. And then they said to me, don't worry, we put them in the bin.
Right.
But I thought that the celebrant would be doing she did do a great job in terms of the ceremony, but she treated it a bit like a wedding fair, and was promoting herself. And it's you can't do
you've got
that.
To be a bit careful with that.
Yeah, you're not there to promote yourself at somebody else's wedding.
If someone comes up to you and says, you did an amazing job, do you have a card?
Totally different.
Come
totally
out and
different.
Get a card, but you wouldn't go up to everyone and go, here, have my card, have my card.
You wouldn't do it at a funeral either. But.
And I turn up in a suit. I don't turn up with logo sort of socks on. Even though I'm behind the camera, so you wouldn't really see me. But got to turn up like you're a guest to a wedding. What I do worry about sometimes if I'm near the mark to looking like a groomsman, but I'm still behind the camera.
Navy blue is really in at the moment. And when I was doing the wedding on Sunday, the venue staff were in navy blue suits. The DJ was in navy blue, and the 2 photographers, male and female, he had a navy blue suit, she had a navy blue dress, and I had a navy blue dress. So it was the dream team. It was meant to be. And then half the guests turned up, no one in navy blue as well. It's a really good colour. It's a very good colour.
I've been to a few where I've been smarter than the groom, you know.
Well, I've only had one groom in shorts and t-shirt at one wedding.
Really?
Yeah. So
I don't know, Rachel. I can't remember any of them. Can you? Any of what they were wearing?
I think we've done like a few, not casual ones, but where it's been really hot and they have no jackets and it's
they've literally had the strip,
short shirts and like very thin trousers.
Yeah.
But that's about it, I think.
yeah.
But that's what we love about them. They're all different. You know?
Every wedding's
and
different,
people can do what they want, can't they?
Yeah.
That's what I really like. And it's really nice to see how the guests interact. You can tell when it's a really nice group of family and friends because everyone's interacting.
Yeah.
You know, even if they don't know anybody, they're special and they've been invited.
You know, we offer karaoke as well, and you can tell. And I play a game at wedding fairs, don't I? I say, I can tell. I'm going to show you something. Like, what is karaoke? I said, I'm going to show you it, but I can tell now just by looking at you, you're going to love it. You're going to hate it.
Yeah.
And play it.
And it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I said, don't book this if you don't think your guests are up for it. You two may love it, but your guests have got to be up for it.
Yeah. My son and daughter-in-law really wanted karaoke, but where they're in Gibraltar, it used to be okay for everybody to go across from Spain into Gib, and now with Brexit, it's because they're they're part of our Commonwealth and whatever. They can't, so they have to have visas and stuff like that, and they found it really difficult. And my son, they had a fantastic photographer that came recommended by a celebrant I know in Spain who recommended her, and then she recommended what was supposed to be a very incredible videography company. I couldn't afford. I wanted to bring somebody from England across. I thought at least I know them, but we couldn't do that. But they booked this company, but unfortunately that company then farmed it out to different people.
Right, okay.
And the guys that then videoed it didn't speak a word of English. And my son hates the video. He's looked at it. He won't let anyone else watch it. I haven't. They've been married 2.5 years and I haven't seen it because he's so upset by it.
Let me have it and I'll re-edit it for him.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with it. He won't. I'll probably love it because it's my son's wedding.
Well,
but
if you're listening, son, send it to us.
William.
Cherrywood Production. William, send it to us. I'll see if I can do something.
That's
with
really
it for
kind. That's really kind.
For £3,000. No.
Mum's paying.
I'll do it. Mama pay. Mama pay. She's giving me a free membership to the
Absolutely, that's it. That's it. So 15 quid.
It's like the magic circle. You're not allowed to talk about it.
That's the funny bit. That is the funny bit because people can't find it on social media. It's like it's Karina's gang, and it's not. It really isn't. The more the merrier. You know, sometimes we have 40 people at a meeting, and sometimes I have 80 people at a meeting, and they go away. They have good food, and they have a natter, and they take business cards, and it's just really, really lovely because everyone knows what it's like to do a wedding. So everyone's either up here or down there, or you know, they've all got this sort of similar backgrounds and stories.
I love it when you turn up to a wedding and one of your mates is there you haven't worked with for a while or something like that.
It makes a huge difference.
Have a good day.
I think it's funny when I get wedding suppliers that are invited as guests.
Yes.
And I suddenly get this little wave. You know, as I'm standing at the front with the groom in the audience, there's a little hi.
My ex-wife used to be an air stewardess and we used to get on planes and she'd be giving it some of that. Free champagne used to come over. There was a benefit to it.
Absolutely. There needed to be, obviously. But yes, I do vow renewals. I don't do divorce ceremonies yet, but you know, there's time yet.
But keep your hopes up, Rach. She eventually will.
Well, I could do the party myself. Don't worry about that.
That's it. And I don't do weddings where you know the bride marries a ghost or a cat or anything like that. Those, really they're a little weird for me, even you know. But each to their own.
Or a fairground attraction.
Oh
Remember
no!
that?
I've the one I've seen at the moment online that I was reading about was she's married a doll, like not like a blow up doll or anything. It's like a rag doll. Yeah, and she's married this rag doll, and she's had rag doll babies with this rag doll.
I can understand wanting to celebrate yourself, and I can see the benefit of paying to you know to sort of have a fun time and dress up and maybe have a few friends and. You don't need any excuse to do that. But if you know, anyone can do whatever they want. That's the thing. But occasionally, when you're having to ask the ghost that you've married for a divorce, and the ghost says no, come on. I struggle with that one.
No.
I do struggle with that one. But hey ho.
Oh my
It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much.
I've really
coming
enjoyed
on.
myself.
Good.
Perfect.
So
Thank
Sorry
you so
about
much.
the talk about other things.
yeah. Okay. I do know a really good hypnotherapist and therapist, and I think I'm going to have to give him a call.
Or give him
What, for my-
Simon's number.
Give him Simon's number. No, for me. Oh my gosh.
But thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on. It's
thank
been
you for
amazing.
inviting
It's been a pleasure.
me.
No worries.
Thank you. See you all later. Yeah, bye-bye. Cherrywood Podcast. You know who we are. Right. If you don't know who we are by now, then
You should
Why?
do.
you should. There we go. This podcast has been brought to you by Snugdubs Campervan Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk.